From war stories to hard-earned lessons, get an inside look at what it takes to build and survive in New Eden. Please welcome CCP Swift to the stage.
Yay. I just wanted that welcome. Now we can all go home. No, this is the leadership panel. It's kind of changed over the years from Fanfest. Sometimes it's the Alliance leadership panel. Sometimes some spicy things happen there. Sometimes it's a CSM panel. But this year we wanted to keep it a little bit more pragmatic. So we've assembled a great list of Alliance leaders, or actually just leaders in alliances as well, who do various jobs, various activities, manage different types of people, to talk about a little bit some of the hardships that they have to deal with, some of the strategies they've used in order to lead their alliances, and just ask some questions from the audience as well. So we almost sat alphabetically in order. We got pretty close. We can start over here with you, Deebs from Electus Matari. Just do a quick intro, or however long of an intro you want to do. Tell people what you do and a little bit about your alliance.
Sure. So I'm Deeb Spar from Electus Matari. We are a Min-Matar role-playing alliance that focuses on many different things. We try and spread around. We're older than faction warfare, so faction warfare just remains one of the many things that we do. We do high-sec war decks. We have done things in low-sec outside of faction warfare. We've been involved in non-solve null and did some things in wormhole space as well. So we try and keep it very spread out. We do a lot of industrial stuff as well. We're a very broad alliance in that way.
Cool, thank you. Bear That Cares, up to you. You can just keep going down the list.
I'm Bear That Cares. I run Min-Matar Fleet Alliance. We post a lot on Reddit. We feed a lot of dreads. And we play in usually Min-Matar faction warfare, but pretty much everywhere these days.
I am Dirjek Wanai. I fly with Brave Newbies. We value fun per hour over anything, and I spend a lot of time doing tournament stuff, and I'm the tournament captain. And as a leadership role, I'm just a catch-all fixer. If something needs to be done, I'll do small chores that require doing.
You don't have to keep passing the mics. What do you mean you can?
So I'm Mystical Might, and I am a member of Winterco in Fraternity. And over the years, my role has expanded from being the English-speaking military director to being more of a Winterco executor. So responsibilities will just be coordinating across different language groups and time zones, which is sometimes a struggle, but also very, very rewarding when it actually works. And besides that, kind of in the same boat of just being a catch-all fixer of different issues popping up and then trying to knock them back down like it's whack-a-mole. So, always fun.
Hi, I'm Shut Up and Shade from Black Omega Security, a wonderful corp who have formed such alliances as Pandemic Legion and Goon Swarm Alliance. So I'm probably here as a lesson in what not to do.
Hello, my name is Crash Snaps. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm the least qualified person on this panel. I'm a pretty cringy Twitch streamer who had a semi-drunken idea to start an alliance back in January of this year called Hype Train. I started a poll on Twitch. I thought I'm a solo PvP pilot usually, but they thought it'd be kind of funny to just start an alliance and run with it. And we recently took some Sov and threw down our first Fortizar, and it's been a fever dream ever since.
Hello, I'm Wick Batana from Init. I am Darkshine's French maid. Init is a large nullsec block. We have more than 4,000 players and more than 20,000 characters, so we need to have a well-structured organization. I am in charge of a good number of groups. I am in charge of the coordinators who are the guys who organize FC stuff, define objectives, etc. I'm also a member of the HR team, who are the guys who discuss with the new corps who would like to join in it, and we check that they fit culturally within each culture and activity. And I am also in charge of the new bro-friendly corp in Init, where we start to welcome some people who have never lived in nullsec, and we give them the opportunity to try nullsec before they can eventually join a regular Init corps. So that's it.
All right. So what is it you say you do? No, leadership is an incredible role in an alliance. It's something you need, obviously, in order to get people to do stuff, keep people motivated, and achieve whatever goals you want to do. But it's also one position that people burn out of a lot. And we see a lot of people churn through. So some people, you guys have had alliances that are pretty new, but you're still managing communities, alliances that have been around for a very long time. How do you guys manage burnout and fatigue and just the dread of many Discord pings that are just lighting up your chat?
So I'll field this one. I'm no longer the CEO of Black Omega Security at the moment because the key is delegation.
And go. About the ping fatigue, in Init we have decided that the easiest way to deal with that is to create tickets. So we have a nice system of tickets via Discord, which allows us to not receive multiple DMs for various stuff. So people talk to their director, the director opens a ticket, the correct team is pinged and can answer, etc. So that's one of the things we have in place, and we need to do that because, as I said, we went from 3,000 characters in 2021 after the end of World War II to 20,000 characters. So what we did casually before, we had to change the way we work. Yes.
Yeah, and just to add to how you manage burnout, I would say just find a comfort game. So, EVE Online can become a job if you're a member or a leader in an alliance. So I spend a lot of my time with old school RuneScape or something open on the side just to distract myself from Discord every now and then.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo delegation, having people help you out with different tasks and roles, especially in smaller alliances where you tend to be the head FC as well as alliance leadership. It's really important to have people do logistics, have people do smaller fleets, or back you up on the larger ones, just so that you can do that. It's also really important to take breaks, not be around all the time. Sometimes it's okay to step away for a few weeks or a month or something, probably still around, checking pings, responding to people, but not actively playing as much, and that helps control that burnout a little bit.
In my case, I am the one who is delegated to, and we have a system where we try to make it so that everyone is doing only what only they can do. And if you could delegate it, you just kick it down the line, and then it will filter down so that we also have an opportunity to recruit people to do more space jobs, because the lowest person on the totem pole also wants to delegate. So they are the ones who train new people to do the simplest tasks, and then we don't end up in a situation where we have no fresh blood and therefore have nobody to take over when somebody burns out completely or needs to take a break or has a life situation that isn't compatible with having two jobs, one that isn't paid.
Yeah, I'd say taking breaks is super important, and I'd say also just getting rid of a lot of the BS that's not fun. I'd say that in our alliance we try and streamline a lot of stuff. So if it's not fun, we just aren't going to do it. If it doesn't get us towards getting more content and all that, we're just going to maybe unanchor all that stuff.
Yeah, in my case, everyone that was kind of starting this up with me knew exactly how disorganized I was. So I was very lucky to have very organized, very dedicated people to kind of take over and basically tell me you need to delegate right off the bat. And so I'm really echoing what everyone else is saying. But yeah, I think it's important to have some humility about what you can and can't handle, and just kind of listen to people, get input, and run with it as much as you can. But these guys already covered all that.
Just one thing about burnout. CCP and the community, you have created a monster. And Eve is not only a game, it's an second life, it becomes an addiction, and the most important thing is to listen to yourself and realize that why did you choose to not go to this party with your friends last Friday because you thought that maybe there would be a fleet, etc., and it's not good. So yes, it's very easy to dive too deeply in Eve. I think most people here are doing the same. So that's something you have to think about sometimes, say, oh, it's not the problem if I am away from the game for 3 days. Okay, nothing will happen, etc., and I can take some breath here. Because if you don't do that, when something goes wrong and you are in charge of something because you are in a leadership position, you feel very I would not say depressed, or hurt, okay? If the guy above me say, hey, why did the courts do that? I take it as, I did not do my job as I should have done it. And in real life, it would be okay. But in Eve, because Eve is so important for me, it becomes a problem, a real problem, you know. So we have to listen to ourselves.
Yeah, you can absolutely, like the stress of running everything, people have invested so much time into doing things, and you kind of feel like they're depending on you in some instances, but you're absolutely right. The one thing that's true is that everybody understands that you just gotta take a break sometimes. Like, if a fleet doesn't happen, that's fine. They'll just live until the next one. Or they'll go out and do something dumb on their own, which is kind of always fun. Next, I wanted to kind of ask how you guys got to where you are. As a player, I ended up leading an alliance just because the really charismatic, really amazing leader was just like, I'm good. And I was the only one there. I was like, okay, I'll do it. It'll be great. It ended up being kind of okay. Managed to keep it afloat. But did you guys have like ambitions of like, oh, I want to lead this group, I want to do this one role, or did you fall into it, or like how did that work out? In any order that you want, that's fine.
I can't leave well enough alone. I will join, I'll do stuff, and then like somebody above me will like not be doing it, and I'll step in because I want it to get done. So I joined our tournament team, and eventually just spent so much time theory crafting that when our then captain had to take a break, I ended up taking over. And for the alliance part of things, I volunteer too much. They needed somebody to do SRP, and then I was doing SRP, and somebody posted in a channel like, hey, we need some structure cores hauled into our space, and I said like, yeah, sure, I'll do that, and then suddenly I was asked every time, and now I'm leadership somehow. But I have no ambition. I like things getting done.
A victim of your own success.
Yeah, similar story for me. I started running fleets in the way that I went out and I said, hey, I'm going to take a rifter out and I'm going to see what happens. And then I would blow something up, and then the next time I say I'm going to take a rifter out and see what happens, someone else says, hey, you blew something up last time. Can I come with you and we can blow things up together? And I went, yeah, that sounds great. And then I'm an FC, and then some years down the line, our alliance leadership went, you know what? You're basically the leadership now. This is now your problem, and threw me under the bus and said, deal with it. And I went, okay, I guess. I don't have a choice in the matter, do I? And she said, no, you don't. You are now in charge.
For me, it's usually I want to play with this type of group, and then that group didn't exist, so it's like, all right, I guess we're just gonna have to make it ourselves. So I ran a wormhole group because there was no kind of like good mid-scale U.S. time zone groups, and then for Mimitar, I was trying to find a group that's like, what Mimitar group is just dropping dreads or whatever, and there wasn't one, so we had to make one. So that's usually how it comes about for me. and then when we get bored, we shut it down.
So, starting an alliance as a Twitch content creator definitely has been a very unique set of challenges, and just that I think for me the important part was trying to create a community outside of the community I had already established while still feeling sort of integrated, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of alliances or groups that kind of got started in the past from, and this is always a concern of mine, that it got started by like a personality on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, can kind of fall into, if I'm not consistently present or showing up for things, that people lose interest. So it was important for me to kind of build up a community outside of, that's bigger than just my stream or bigger than, you know, just what I'm doing on stream. And it's actually been important for me to kind of keep some of the alliance build up out of the public eye, as to not, you know, let people work in the background, but also kind of get people excited about it, has been a pretty unique challenge where we put down a Fortizar, but we didn't exactly want everyone to know we put down a Fortizar recently, and just kind of, I've been very lucky to have just so much momentum coming from stream that I got a lot of people interested, and the primary goal for me was just make as many fun fights as I could, and just get new FCs into the game. And I've been kind of making it a point to get better at FCing myself and kind of show that content through stream, to show that pretty much anyone can do it. Literally anyone. If I can do it, you guys definitely can. And yeah, I'm ambitious with it, but I think for me, it was very important to create something outside of just my Twitch channel. And that's been definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I originally joined Winterco to try and learn how to FC in an environment where I could ping and get some people who may have like reasonable expectations about how good an FC will be, because I was starting off from scratch. And I ended up falling into kind of the shadow realm of helping other people FC their fleets, sitting in the background and doing the special snowflake roles or getting things organized. And then during the war, when BJK, I don't know if he's in the room, decided to leave and create his alliance called Decoy, there was an open military director role, and I just stepped into that to keep things going, since we were in the middle of the war in the north back then. And after that, it's just been a constant case of accidentally falling into things that don't involve me, and then taking a little active hand just to give a bit of guidance or throw suggestions into the ring. So it is very much just a case of accidentally falling upwards.
Similarly as others, I had absolutely no ambition. I just started helping because I like to help. So I started helping Pando when he was doing the Stuka fleets in the good old days, before MGD got nerfed because we used them so well and killed so many Rorcals. So I helped to scout wormholes for that. And because you help, people propose you to join other groups, etc. One day, a court position opened. I said, oh, I could do that. I had no idea what it meant. They took me in. And after that, one day, I still don't know why, Shines proposed me to be the lead of the chords. I still don't understand why it chose me. Maybe the others were not available, I don't know. And suddenly the chord stuff is related and interconnected with all groups in our alliance. The guy who refuel jump bridge, the guy who builds stuff, the guy who recruit people, etc., which opens the possibility for me to do other things that I was interested in doing. For example, I do an onboarding session for new joiners every week. I do a 2-hour session where I share my screen and I show them where to find the doctrines, how to ask for SRP, etc., how to register to our stuff, etc. Nobody asked me to do that. I just felt that I wanted to do it. So, but it was just the opportunity to do it. People gave me the opportunity while I was not searching for it. So I think it's the same for most of us here.
I'm going to buck the trend a little bit. So I and the early Black Amiga guys actually came from another game called Homeworld. And I resisted playing Eve for the first couple of years. But I eventually got dragged in, and I got dragged in with the expectation that I would be the CEO of Black Amiga. But the things I then achieved in the game, I achieved through a a kind of combination of massive personality defects, like the need to control. And I used to play music, so I'd literally sit there with my guitar and play the guitar to 250 bored people, night in and night out. And I also really dislike bullies. And I just to relate a story, I guess, Goon Fleet were about 100 people. And I remember AAA, who were scary at the time, and a handful of other alliances, all came up to Syndicate where Goons were. And I think we were renting belts out to Remedial at the time. And they said, we are going to wipe these people off the map, because if they don't, they're going to become huge. And I just thought, well, if they become huge, they become huge. Well done to them. And they pushed a button in me. These people saying that they were going to annihilate Goon Fleet when they were just basically 100 people in Rifters, pushed a button in me. And I think me and about 15 other Black Omega guys stayed up for about, I mean, yes, we slept, but we kind of did 16-hour days for like 2 weeks, just defending them until they left. And that's driven a lot of what I do in Eve. I mean, I don't like bullies, so it's one of my motivations. That, and yeah, of course, my glaring personality defects.
It's fun to think of goons as these small, independent little guy, almost at the face of being wiped out.
Yeah, and Vigils and Rifters, yeah.
I remember my very first Corp in EVE Online. I didn't want to be a leader or anything. I joined it. It was called Slacker Industries, and there were a bunch of slackers. It was great. We had a good time. And then one summer, the guy was just like, okay, Corp's done. See ya. And I'd played with these guys for like 2 years. And I was like, what do you mean it's done? And he was like, oh, I'm going to college, and my mom just only gave me a MacBook, and Eve doesn't run on a Mac, so at that time it didn't, at least. And then I was like conflicted with so many emotions. I was like, I met some really cool people here. Wait, you were 16 when you were telling me what to do? That doesn't seem right. But I caught up with him a lot later on, and he, talked about Eve in his early years and how much it really helped him unexpectedly in the professional world. Do you guys have any experience where you picked up some skills leading people in Eve that has just helped you in real life? You could say no, that's fine.
I'll go ahead and go. I'd say Eve is pretty massive. It's had a massive impact on my life, mostly because I was, I think, 13 or 14 when I started playing, so I was young. I was in a group called Schnecht, and yeah, I don't know. It helped me pick my career. It helped me pick what to major in college. I found out building things with ESI and the old API was pretty cool, and maybe this programming thing is actually really cool, and building websites and stuff. So ended up getting into engineering because of that. I'd say the leadership skills that Eve has taught me has helped me grow into leadership in roles at companies. And I owe a lot to the game, which is why I try and just make content and give back, because yeah, I owe pretty much everything to it.
That's awesome.
For me, it's a bit different because in my real life, I am a doctor. I work at the hospital. I am the boss of my unit. So I am already involved in managing people and teaching people and dealing with conflicts, etc. So it's rather these skills that I use in Eve than the skill that in Eve I got new skills, okay, like dealing with Discord, shooting stuff, etc. But for the managing skills, it comes from my real life. So it's a two-way exchange.
For me, I met quite a number of people through Eve over the years, and one of them ended up getting me a job where he worked. And then that ended up turning into another job and a career. And then he got me another job where he worked another time. And because of where he took me, I met my wife. So at this point, I can pretty much say that Eve is the reason I have a career and a wife.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, kind of the same, by the way. Eve is the reason I'm here, if that wasn't super obvious.
Yeah, I guess I was trying to think of a good answer for this question. Skill set wise, maybe a little less crossover, but I just think how excited I got about this game compared to any other game I've played before literally transformed my life in a way I couldn't have imagined. You know, when I started streaming Eve, I actually started streaming Hunt Showdown, was my first game, and had a little bit of success with it. But I was playing Eve, my account's from 2014, but I kind of rage quit a couple times along the way.
Yeah, I think everyone has done that a little bit.
Yeah, a couple of rage quits along the way. But yeah, I started in faction warfare and kind of moved through a few groups there and learned how to FC a little bit more, and I started streaming the game, and the community behind this game is just the most insane thing I've ever seen anywhere. Not to glaze it too much, because it's how everyone kind of approaches it. But I just the sheer energy I get from everyone just in stream and being here this year has definitely, I wouldn't be Twitch streaming full time if not for this game. So, and I just keep finding new ways to play it, new ways to enjoy it, and kind of sharing that with Twitch and everyone else watching, and them seeing how bad I am at things, but seeing those little bits of progression here and there, and kind of bringing that to people has been a ton of fun. And yeah, it's been. I'm doing a terrible job of answering this question, but yeah, it's kind of a weird one. Like how my job's mostly just verbally shit posting, so skill set a little less, but yeah, thank you.
You've definitely gotten good at it.
Yeah, I guess so.
In the first corp in Brave that I was a director in, I was promoted mainly for being somewhat disagreeable and being a know-it-all. But the other director in that corp eventually became my significant other. And we have a 10-year anniversary next month. So I spent a lot of time having someone to talk about Eve with. And I did take a small break once, and the break ended because I was just basically nagged back into Eve. I do not regret it at all, but it was good to come back, and I don't foresee any breaks in the future.
So I think Eve's really good at teaching a lot of lessons, and I think you have an opportunity to learn the lessons, or in some instances get broken by the things that Eve tries to teach you. And I can think of an example of a few alliance leaders or members of the community that just took things too far, for example. And the community of Eve, for the most part, it may not feel like it a lot of the time, but it's a very well-rounded community. And due to the insert hilarious graph here, due to the learning curve of Eve, there is a certain amount of maturity and I don't want to say intelligence, but I'm going to say intelligence that comes along with being an Eve player. So if people kind of break that contract, they get ousted and they get in a lot of trouble pretty quickly. And there's a lot, on a personal level, there's a lot that Eve's taught me about balance and about just getting things done. I think most people here have been part of campaigns, and it can look absolutely daunting. Let's move billions of assets and hundreds or thousands or sometimes tens of thousands of people, but the trick to those things is just get up and do it. Just make a start.
Yeah, I think it's yeah, as you get more visibility, if you're maybe just moving up through a corporation or taking on bigger and bigger stuff, I think Eve teaches you how you have to not get tilted. And as someone that's very prone to getting tilted, it's definitely been a growing experience for me. Yeah, the bigger the stakes, the more you kind of have to like sit back and just check in with yourself and be like, am I making the right call here? Am I delegating enough? Am I, really talking to enough people and challenging myself to, you have to have a lot of introspection, I think, to kind of keep growing. And just to add to that.
I think I'd add, I started playing EVE when I was 12. My dad got me into the game because he needed me to log in and kind of update his skill queue because it was the 24-hour skill queue times, right? So I remember logging into his account, and he was in Mindstar Technologies at the time, and I ended up feeding, I think, Apocalypse in a level 4 mission with a bunch of small guns fit and like small reps and stuff. It was not a great fit, but it kind of got me hooked, and I was interested in learning and playing the game a bit more. But I know, having grown up with EVE, having played it for about 18 years now, it's definitely helped me understand and discover patience, which I think is a useful leadership quality. I remember camping, the same pos to try and get a super out of an extra large SMA for about 36 hours in a row, because we reinforced it and then we had to make sure no one jumped out. So, there's definitely been times where I've been very patient, and I think that's carried over into real life. And I think also the ability to communicate with people. I wasn't always that sociable, especially when I was younger, and having the online community to speak to has eventually developed into being able to go and travel and see those people that I would be speaking to, 10 years ago, people that I've known longer than some of the people in real life that I hang out with. So it's a really nice way of developing bonds, but also discovering a bit of confidence as well to do things like public speaking, which I would not have been doing, I think, without EVE Online to put me in front of 100 people and tell them what to do every now and then.
Right on. So we've got a few more questions, but I'm conscious of the time too. It kind of just blew by. If anyone in the audience has any questions, there's a mic stand there and a mic stand there. You can feel free and ask away. If not, that's fine too. I can keep rambling. It is very good. Much like Crash Naps, I've learned to fill an empty space. Oh, that came out wrong. Oh, I'm trying to recover. Can't recover.
It's time to find fights. So
Yeah.
Yapping's my only real strong quality.
One thing that I always struggled with as a corp leader was, maybe he's either leaving or he's okay. Cool.
Is it on?
Yeah.
It is now. All right. So, as maybe for the newer alliances, how do you deal with spies? Do you just allow everybody in and trust that once you're established, like the older groups, you'll have some type of a CI program, or how do you deal with that?
So in Init, every corp starts to filter out obvious spies. So we do background checking using, people need to allow the tokens to be able to read things and find something which is suspicious. So it's the corp's job. And of course, there are some people in the Alliance who are in charge of trying to find good spies, but I cannot tell how. But honestly, the most important part is compartmentalization of information. So we do not leak OPSEC stuff to people randomly. Okay, so things are compartmentalized. That's the only way. And despite of that, you will hear things about this guy betrayed his alliance, etc. And nobody saw it coming. And it's also what makes this game absolutely insane. I mean, my friends who are there, maybe one of them is an old hot spy. I don't know. I mean, it's absolutely insane. So we have to deal with it, and we have to embrace the challenge that Eve proposed. That's what I can say.
I think you make it hard to be a low-effort spy. If somebody is only blue scouting and you check for somebody who only has a lot of gate jumps and no activity, that's a good way of finding them. Force everyone to be a high-effort spy and fly largely on your fleets. That really is the way to do it.
So The one piece of advice I'd argue with, I'd actually like to hear your opinion on this, because you've ran an alliance during one of the most effective anti-spy. I mean, you know your stuff on this, yeah, and I'd like to hear your opinion. I don't know if that's allowed, but the one thing I'd say is the majority of the worst spies in EVE are homegrown and are not people that join your corporate alliance. These are people that you've treated badly. These are people that are disillusioned with your vision, or you're not living up. You're breaking your contracts. You've said things are going to be like this, and they're actually like that. And these people get pissed off. I mean, Bob, the Band of Brothers was turned over essentially by somebody who came back after a few years of being AFK and went, "What the hell is this shit?" And just gave the keys over to Goonswarm. It's keep your roles pruned. Have an easy in, well, maybe not an easy in, but a very fast out and a non-personal attitude to that. If somebody goes AFK for a couple of weeks, then they lose all their roles if they're in a very trusted position. And if it happens to everybody, it's not personal. And if you're upfront about that's the way things work, it's not personal. But yeah, just treat people well and have a quick in and a quick out policy, in my opinion.
I agree. At the scale I'm at right now, it's we're doing goofy compositions. We're not like, there's not a super high stakes situation yet. So it's really something that's on my mind, and I definitely agree with that. It's something that I'm always a little bit paranoid about. Is like, I've given out some roles already a little haphazardly. I'm very lucky that no one's kind of ran off with it yet. It's hard to prevent, but for me, it's something as we kind of scale up into maybe doing capital escalations and things like that, I have to be, I liked the input about compartmentalization. It's really, I'm only talking to one or two people about big moves, and that they're people that I've known for a long time, and as long as I'm, being clear with people, it's going okay so far, but you're always going to have someone getting in there to mix things up, and that's part of the meta game, and it's fun and it's a little annoying at times, but yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm just going to roll with the punches on that one. Yeah.
I'd say there are kind of two kinds of spies. There's the fleet spies, which are given intel and stuff. Those spies are part of the game. They create content. They're probably getting you content. They're not too bad. The really bad kind of spy is the spy with roles. And so compartmentalization, like you said, and just accepting the fact that the best spy is the one you are definitely not going to catch, and it's going to hurt. And limiting that pain is what we try to do. And also, our motto is kind of, if we don't know what we're doing, neither can the spy. So
that's all I'm doing.
Things chaotic.
I think the biggest thing is just accepting that it's going to happen. The compartmentalization helps, not telling everybody everything that's going on. And then also, minimizing the pain when it happens. Just accepting, okay, eventually someone's going to get into your fleet, and they're going to tell the enemy exactly what fleet comp you are and exactly what tactics you have planned. And sometimes so it goes. And usually, they don't stick around terribly long. Like, that's almost always going to be someone who's specifically targeting you. They want, you're in a war with them for a while. They're going to get a spy into comms. They're going to figure it out. But those are also the easiest ones to find, because once the enemy has perfectly countered you 6 times in a row, it really starts to become obvious that something's up, and it's not too hard to figure it out at that point.
Yeah, just as an EVE player, I did a lot of spying on different groups, usually not super maliciously or anything. I didn't want to do anything other than see where people were creating timers, because I wanted to join the timers. And a lot of times I ended up being a lot more helpful than harmful. And then PL, when we were when we were doing alliance level stuff, there were probably spies, but our philosophy behind it was talk a big game about how we're really good at catching spies, so people just didn't even want to try. And then just kind of win them over by just having more fun than whoever they were spying for. So like kind of a bit of a Stockholm syndrome thing going on. And that actually worked really well. We like ended up turning a couple people who were like, yeah, I was actually trying to kill all your stuff, but you're kind of fun now, so it's good. Yeah.
So how do you manage expectations, both from what you expect from your players and what your players can expect from you? And then we're taking a survey. What's your midpoint jump for your jump freighters going to Jeddah?
I'll answer the second one first. It's Rancer. Come gank it. And for the first one, it's clear communication. It's being upfront about it. When I took over the Alliance, one of the things that I said was, we used to have a council. Never have a council for an Alliance leadership. It's terrible. It will go awfully. But when I took over, I said, hey, this is now a Alliance that is democratic. There is one man, one vote. I'm the man and I get the vote. And being very upfront about that. Say, hey, when you join this Alliance, this is what's up. This is my Alliance. This is how we do things. When I hand it over to somebody else eventually, they can do things differently, but this is what I'm going to do, and then be very clear about what you're going to do. I like doing different things all the time. We are a role-play Alliance. We are always going to be Minmatar focused. All of these things, just be very clear about them so that when someone joins, they know what they're getting into. And if someone joins and is like, hey, I want to drop supers on goons in wherever they live now, they're going to join my Alliance. They're going to be really disappointed really quickly, but that's okay because I told them that up front. So probably they're never going to join the Alliance in the first place, and we're never going to have that problem. But it's expectation setting, and it's clear communication about what we do and how we do it and why we do it. That matters.
I just want to absolutely reiterate everything you've just said. So clear communications and expectations setting, because we used to have a recruitment sheet, a kind of cheat sheet for recruitment, and almost all of it was expectation setting. Because if you tell people that they're going to need to be on 6 days a week, and they accept that, then and I'm not saying that's the case, but then they're fine about it when you ask them to be on 6 days a week. If you mildly undersell and over-deliver, that also goes an awful long way in communication with your Alliance members or corp members. So yeah, undersell and over-deliver, but also just be so clear about everything. And that doesn't mean everybody gets an opinion and it's a real democracy. Be really clear about the fact it's not, for example. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I will say the same, but I would say 3 things about meeting expectations. First, you need to have a great leader with some charisma that people will want to follow. That's one thing. Second, what we do in Init is we do not need more people. We do not need more corps. So the corps contact us to join us, and we tell them who we are, what our way of how we behave, what are our goals, etc. And if they join us, they know it. So we are PvP oriented, etc., etc. So they cannot join us and afterwards say, oh, but I am a complete Care Bear and I don't want to join Fleet. Then they did not need to join us. All good, but so that's how we manage it. And I would also highlight what you said about communication. So our lead, Dark Shines, I have never seen him writing a biased post, lying to line members. He's always transparent, honest. His after-action reports are mature. You talked about maturity previously, and that's what makes people want, having the desire to follow him, even if we do mistakes, etc. So I don't know if it answers your question, but basically communication, yes. Unbiased communication, not propaganda. That's not the same. Because propaganda, when your members start understanding that you lie to them, that's where bad things can happen.
Yeah, the propaganda has to go outwards. That's where you can meme. But sorry, I know there's a couple more questions, but I do want to wrap up just because I'm conscious there's other cool stuff going on. I don't want to keep you around too long, but a huge round of applause for our amazing panel. leaders all over Eve, sharing their experience. And yeah, we should do the Fanfest thing. When we clear out, just grab some of these guys by the hallway, or just have a chat with them, grab lunch with them later. Sorry, I've just offered everyone to harass you for the rest of the day. Yeah. But thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of Fanfest. We'll see you later.
Yeah, he's